The FBI's office in Cincinnati, Ohio was put on lockdown after an armed man who reportedly made threats against the FBI engaged in a standoff. In fact, according to reporting, he had fired a nail gun into the FBI building as he was attempting to break into it. Luckily, he didn't break into it, but he did exchange fire with authorities. And as we talk about this story in this moment, and of course, by the time you watch it, the story may have changed. The authorities still have not managed to get this man in custody. So here's what we know so far. The incident began around 9 a.m. when a man tried to enter the visitor screening facility outside the FBI Cincinnati field office in the suburb of Kenwood, Ohio, said Todd Lindgren, an agency spokesperson. Now he said an alarm was set off and agents responded. Later, NBC News reported that the suspect, who was armed with an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle, fired a nail gun into the building. So just to clarify, because this might be a little confusing, he had the AR-15, but the AR-15 wasn't enough. He wanted to make sure he was properly armed with a nail gun in addition to the AR-15. Now, the suspect was seen fleeing in a white vehicle when he fired shots at the authorities. The man then fled on Interstate 71, which was closed for much of the day. It has reopened since. He was spotted about 20 minutes later by a state trooper at a rest area. The trooper began a chase and came under fire. And that's according to the Ohio State Highway Patrol. The Emergency Management Agency in Clinton County, which includes Wilmington, said law enforcement officers had traded shots with a man dressed in a gray shirt and body armor. They had him cornered in a cornfield eventually, but now it's unclear why it is that they have failed to get this man in custody. So there is still an active situation going on as we report this story to you at this moment. And to be clear, since he's not in custody, we don't know what his motive is. We can certainly speculate why the FBI would be targeted by individuals, especially given the fact that Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence was raided by FBI officials earlier this week. But Jake, before we get to conservatives weighing in on this matter and essentially telling the FBI to stop crying about it, wanted to get your thoughts.
Yeah, here's the most amazing part of the story. So he hides in a cornfield and he's a criminal mastermind. Oh my God. Corn Pop is back.
Oh my God, Cenk.
Okay, now it's a serious story. It's a serious story. So let's get serious for a second. Look, I have a prediction here.
He's my boss. Just putting that out there.
Okay, well, look. So here's a prediction on this story. The guy's gonna say that he used a nail gun because he just basically kind of wanted to do a warning shot. Hey, FBI, you better not mess with us. We're gonna hold you accountable. But hey, I didn't fire a real weapon, he'll say, at the FBI building. This is my prediction, it hasn't happened yet. And then they'll say, yeah, but you fired your weapon at the cops. And he'll say, yeah, but they were following me. Okay, now the reason why I'm predicting this is because that's the right-wing frame of mind.
They're always the victim.
Yeah, one, they're entitled to anything, including going and firing at FBI officials with a nail gun, thinking, you're so lucky, I'm only using a nail gun. Like, I guarantee you that that's his frame of mind. And then he said, well, I mean, if you're chasing me, I mean, I'm not black, I'm allowed to shoot back, right? And so that's my guess as to how it's gonna come out. Is it a coincidence that the FBI building gets targeted after every right-wing lunatic, including that means like pretty much everyone in right-wing media was saying, oh, FBI, they targeted Trump and they're the Gestapo and we have to rip their throats out, as Steve Bannon said, etc. Not likely to be a coincidence.
Not likely. So again, it has not been confirmed. We are responsible people, so we're not gonna say that without a shadow of a doubt, this was motivated by what happened to Trump earlier in the week. It is likely, but again, no confirmation because the guy isn't even in custody yet, which is, can we just real quick acknowledge how insane that is?
Acknowledge.
How incompetent are these authorities? How do you not have this man in custody? This happened around 9 a.m. this morning, local time, in Cincinnati, Ohio. Just blows my mind. Anyway, now what has the reaction been from right-wing influencers like Charlie Kirk? Well, he just wants to ensure that all of our focus is on the fact that the FBI consists of bad guys. but the individual who might be carrying out violence against innocent people, don't be distracted by that. Let's watch.
Now there's a new report that shows someone is attacking the FBI building in Cincinnati. Interstate 171 North is shut down after suspect drove towards Waynesville, Ohio. Unconfirmed reports say he is now firing at police from a cornfield. Now I'm sure this will now be the main focus, even though we have said repeatedly to remain peaceful and stay focused on constructive things that we can do. They're now going to try to play the victim after they occupied Donald Trump's home, a military occupation.
Bro, what are you talking? What military occupation? Do you know what a military occupation is? His home was raided by FBI agents, meaning law enforcement, federal law enforcement. Federal law enforcement is different from the military. What, like? Anyway, a little less time taking whatever it is that you might be taking that's causing your face to twitch. It's incredibly distracting and obviously is having an impact on your ability to think critically about what's going on. Yeah. What is that? What's wrong with your face?
Fix your face.
Get it together. Jesus.
Fix your face, as was said legendarily a while back. Okay, so I have many things to say about this. First is, I don't know why the FBI is pretending to be victims. They're not pretending to be victims, they were shot at, okay? But now apparently you can shoot at the cops, although they don't encourage violence, but I mean, they're obviously faking it, so do whatever you want to them. So anyways, they're not pretending, they were shot at, they pursued the guy, etc.
No, it's military occupation.
Second of all, look guys, here's the thing with the right wing.
They're stupid?
Yeah, well, of course.
I usually don't say that, but honestly, after watching that, you just called it a military occupation.
Yeah. So
play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Homeboy took home classified documents from the White House and broke laws that he himself, by the way, that Trump himself in 2018 made even more harsh. Okay, yeah. Mishandling classified documents, the penalties are more harsh today because in 2018, Donald Trump is the one who made them more harsh. But nonetheless, go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, he could actually get 5 years in prison for doing what he did. Of course he won't. But look, whenever these situations come up, I always think, what if the shoe was on the other foot? Or what if the twitch was on the other face? And how would I react, right? So Bernie, I always think about that. What if they raided Bernie's home? Now, first of all, like the right wing is skeptical of mainstream media and the establishment, and we don't blame them for that. We talk about that all the time. We're skeptical of them. So if Bernie was about to like win a primary and all of a sudden they're busting into his home, I'd be a little skeptical about it. But I would also be curious. Wow, they got a judge to sign off on it. I wonder what the warrant says. I wonder what they're going to charge him with. I wonder, and why did Bernie take home
classified documents?
Classified documents from the White House. What a curious, weird thing to do, right? Why would you want to hide things that are classified from the White House? I would have all of these questions, but that's because I'm not a right winger. Right winger has no questions. They say, oh, Trump took home documents that are classified. Awesome, I love it, I love it. Is there any chance that maybe he did something wrong? There's no chance. You always take the secret documents and you always put them in your safe in Mar-a-Lago so that the National Archives can't have it and the other government can't have it. Really, why? What a weird assumption. Why do you guys think, like you're skeptical of media establishment, we get it, but why do you think the one guy in the country who would never lie is Donald J. Trump? That is such a curious choice.
I don't even see this as a Republican thing, although what I'm about to describe is prominently featured with Republican media and Republican voters. It's not that you're not a Republican, it's that you're not a bitch for the elite, okay? It's that you understand that it's important to have a justice system that ensures that no one is above the rule of law. And for far too long, we have dealt with presidents who have committed war crimes, presidents who have broken all sorts of laws, and there's no consequence for them. And Donald Trump, I mean, he's gotten away with so much. Yes, he's been under investigation a billion times, but he's got all of his little cronies and all of his little buddies in the Republican Party providing cover for him. He's been impeached twice, but he hasn't been convicted in those impeachments because he's got the Republicans providing cover and refusing to vote to convict him of what he was clearly guilty of doing, okay? So let's put all of that aside. Let's also just address the fact that The right wing consistently talks about how much they want civil war, how much they want violence, how much they want to go to war, literally, over what the FBI did in like literally just doing its job and doing this investigation, obtaining the warrant through a court order, through a judge's signature, and then carrying out the raid to get the documents that they were looking for. And here's what Charlie Kirk has to say in his ridiculous denials of what we've been hearing from the right wing over and over again for several years now.
That cannot allow us to keep our eye off the ball of exactly what happened earlier this week. This is the main focus now of the media. The media is now saying, well, do you see how the right is reacting to all of this? For example, HuffingtonPost.com, MAGA world wants war after FBI raid on Trump's Mar-a-Lago. Or how about this other one where they say the right is now calling for conflict and violence. Look, don't fall for any of this. The reason they are now grasping at these narratives, the reason they're grasping at these things is they are terribly worried that they made a tragic mistake.
No, I think it has to do with all of the right wingers who have literally called for war. Why don't we give you the evidence? Because it's easier to look at the evidence than to just say something with nothing to back it up. Let's start with Steven Crowder. Tomorrow is war. Sleep well.
Oh.
Wow, that seems pretty straightforward. Here's another one, Stephen Bannon. We need to choke down the FBI and choke down the Justice Department. Here's more. Sebastian Gorka, former Trump advisor who now hosts a show on Salem Radio, whatever that is, said the FBI's actions were a declaration of war. Great. Gateway Pundit, a pro-Trump outlet, wrote, "This means war." Monica Crowley, a right-wing commentator who worked in the Trump administration, tweeted this: "This is it. This is the hill to die on."
I mean, all she was missing from that tweet was in Cincinnati at the FBI building. That's all of them. They're like, go, grab your weapons, do something. No, oh my God, somebody grabbed a weapon and did something? We're so surprised.
Then the inflammatory rhetoric continues. Quote, "I do not think it's beyond this administrative state and their deep state apparatus to actually try to work on the assassination of President Trump."
Insane.
This charge was echoed by former New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik, who said he is worried Democrats might try to assassinate Donald Trump. Quote, "I'm going to tell you something. I'm not into conspiracies."
Really?
Except I am. "I'm not into government, anti-government rhetoric," Kerik said. "This is the first time in my lifetime that I would say I'm deathly afraid for Donald Trump. I would not put assassination behind these people. No evidence indicating, not a shred of proof indicating that there is any attempt to assassinate Donald Trump. But who cares? Let's just put it out there. All sorts of inflammatory rhetoric about going to war, about how we need to protect Daddy Trump from assassination, even though there's no evidence that there's anyone even thinking about doing that." And then Ben Collins, compiled all of these MAGA chuds in Truth Social and QAnon forums, posting things like lock and load. Are we not in a cold civil war at this point? Several points ago. Then cry out in pain as they strike you. They cry out in pain as they strike you. And one other person said, they will cry out in authentic pain soon.
With a nail gun. I mean, they said lock and load, and then a guy locks and loads, and then they pretend to be outraged that he locked and loaded. You literally called for it. And now one more thing here. If left-wing media hosts did 10% of this, we would be deplatformed and maybe even arrested. So you're not allowed to talk about violence like that at all, unless you're a right-winger and you have magic immunity from law enforcement, from the platforms, etc., because all they do is cry and cry and cry. So they're like, go to war, lock and load, grab your weapons, do everything you need to do, okay? And we gotta go and strike back, and it's time right now to go take violent action. And everybody's like, oh no, they're right-wingers, they can say anything they like. One left-wing host says that, they're gone, okay? It's the usual double standard, and as always, hey, you guys, I know you don't require evidence, you don't care about facts, but you don't know what's in the warrant. And part of the reason you don't know what's in the warrant and what he might or might not have done is because Donald Trump is hiding the warrant. He could show it today.
100%.
He's not showing it because it's terrible, apparently, right? Why do you think he's hiding the documents? Why do you think he's hiding the warrant? because he's the most innocent man alive. I mean, there's no end to how much of a sucker every dumbass right-wing voter is.
So we just got word that the suspect who had targeted the FBI headquarters in Cincinnati, Ohio, has been found dead. We don't know too many details, but 2 law enforcement officials have confirmed to NBC News that Ricky Walter Schiffer, the suspect in the attack on the FBI field office in Cincinnati, is dead. Schiffer was present at the US Capitol on January 6th. Do with that information what you will.
Yeah, I'll do what I will with it, which is obviously he was a right-wing Trump supporter.
And we've got a bunch of right-wing domestic terrorists running around, and they're constantly being incited by right-wing media, constantly. So this is America, land of the free, home of the brave. So we have more details on the individual who targeted the FBI building in Cincinnati, Ohio. The New York Times has identified the Ohio shooting suspect as Ricky Schiffer. There is a Truth Social account using that same name. On the same day the FBI executed a search warrant on Mar-a-Lago, the account made a call to, quote, be ready for combat, and to, quote, this is a little vague, I don't know what he means here, quote, kill the FBI on sight. Gee, I wonder what motivated this attack on the FBI building in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, luckily, the only one who has gotten hurt, the only one who has died is Ricky Schiffer. And unfortunately, we have a bunch of these Trump cultists running around, ready to fire their weapons, ready to kill people. And this isn't the first time we've seen political violence from Trump supporters. Obviously, there's January 6th. Obviously, there's the mass shooting that happened at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York, which was motivated by crazy conspiracies about white replacement theory. You have a mass shooting in El Paso, Texas, that was fueled by anti-immigrant rhetoric coming from Donald Trump and his lackeys. Like, it goes on and on. These people are violent. These people think that they're somehow the righteous ones, but they want to rain terror on anyone and everyone who doesn't agree with their political ideology. They don't believe in freedom. They don't believe in allowing people to live their lives peacefully and have their own political beliefs. These people are dangerous. And I don't know how he ended up dead, but I'm glad no one else is hurt.
So, and Anna, this has been going on a long time. What do they always say about the Second Amendment? They say it's to protect against government tyranny. And then the right-wing media triggers them by saying, this is government tyranny. And so then the guy writes, oh my God, I'm gonna go get the sons of bitches. And he actually does. He goes to fire at them and gets in a shootout with them. So look, I wonder if there's gonna be a point where law enforcement gets tired of it, gets tired of getting attacked and shot at and killed by right-wingers. And that would be an interesting moment in American history. Because historically, law enforcement has been massively right-wing. And now if the right wing's trying to kill them, that might be the only thing that motivates them to go, hey, maybe we should kind of treat everybody equally.
And I just want to give a shout out to our TYT viewers for, I mean, obviously we're on air and it's hard to keep up with breaking news as we're doing the show that we prepared today. But Chip Hua on Twitter has been giving me updates on what's happening with this story, so thank you for that.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.